work. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
We lost a lot of games this season in the last 2 minutes or the last minute or so. We didn't come together and fight and find a way to win. We know what it takes to win, and we know what it takes to lose. So starting with Missouri is our first test.
They have great length and size and do a really good job defensively as well. So points are always hard to come by. It might come down to somebody with a hot hand or, which team creates a little bit of easy baskets off turnovers.
It is indeed basketball time, tournament time for South Carolina teams. Clemson and South Carolina set to do battle. The Tigers tomorrow afternoon at noon against Florida State, the ACC tournament, where 2 games were played this afternoon. Boston College beating Georgia Tech 66-65, and Virginia Tech edging Wake Forest 81-80. K-Mac is in Greensboro to cover the Tigers at the ACC tournament. I'm here in Nashville to cover South Carolina SEC tournament. The Gamecocks to play the second game tomorrow night against Missouri in what is sort of the play-in round for the SEC tournament to move into the main draw with the other teams. Several teams will practice tomorrow afternoon at Bridgestone Arena here in downtown Nashville, and then we'll have the 2 games tomorrow night. So I am here, K-Mac is there, and Pro is back at our studio in downtown Columbia, along with the estate man, Graham Pope. So we got a very busy show, a lot to cover, looking ahead to basketball, plus looking back to last night. What a great game between Wofford and Furman. No one thought that Furman would put up much of a battle. He did program some hope for the future with the young guys that they have in that program, and the way that they fought Wofford tooth and nail to the very end. But congratulations to the Terriers, 4th championship in the last 6 years for Mike Young, Pro, and he's got the Terriers going to the tournament somewhere in the number 12.
And you got a feeling that this is a team this season now, and if they can really stay within touch with every high seed they play, they've got a chance to steal a ball game. They're at the point now where, as I said before, when people see teams that play well in the tournament, you almost to have success in the tournament once you get there is to go there multiple times with the same class. And since Wofford has done that, now they know what it's like to be in the water of an NCAA tournament, and now they want to go deeper in the waters this time out. And I think they've got the crew to do it. I thought they survived a tremendous rush by Furman. Furman just seemed, all their young players seemed to click at the same time, no senior on the team, and they played exceptionally well. Now, if they can parlay these young guys into getting a young big man who can score inside to draw the defense inside for those 3-point shooters I saw last night, Wofford will see a lot more of Furman next year.
We're going to come to you here, K-Mac.
All right.
Have you put Frank up yet, K-Mac?
No, I haven't. He's in the thing got here, and by the time I got in, I haven't put him up. But he is in the Sports Talk folder, the raw audio. In fact, I might let you just throw him up on the website. It's just, but he's in there. I did put him in the folder after I just raced out of there after I did my cast to get here. So Boston College will play North Carolina, and Virginia Tech will play Miami.
Oh.
Frank Martin.
All right, stand by, guys. Here we go.
It is Sports Talk on a very busy Tuesday night. Good to have you with us wherever you're dialed in around the state of South Carolina. Phil Kornblut in Nashville for the SEC tournament. We'll be here as long as the Gamecocks are. Kevin McCrary in Greensboro for the ACC tournament. He'll be there as long as the Tigers are. And Professor Tom Hayes holding things down at our studios on Main Street in downtown Columbia. He'll be there for forever. We certainly hope. 800-956-7266. We can take some early calls in the program tonight. Bottom of the hour, we'll hear from USC coach Frank Martin. He met with media today before heading to Nashville. He is not reinstating the two suspended players, so Shepard and Henry remain out for the SEC tournament. And if there's anything after that, I guess it'll be determined at that time. Though, K-Mac, you were at the presser. Did he say anything about the chance of those guys being reinstated? Should they go to a tournament after the SEC?
No, he didn't elaborate. He just was asked if he had assessed their situation like he said he was going to do again after the regular season and before the SEC tournament, and he said no. He has not talked to those guys. He's been busy recruiting, and he said he's just been out and about and hasn't had time to talk to them, and he did not seem overly I guess, motivated to do that right now. So I would say that those two guys, right now, their status for the rest of this season, which could end tomorrow night and maybe beyond, is in question right now in terms of what Frank Martin's going to do with those guys. But he did not elaborate on their status, and he doesn't usually elaborate on the status of guys that are not in good graces with his program.
Well, I was just thinking, K-Mac and Phil, that boy, this team has such a precarious chemistry that when you look at their shooting totals, percentage-wise, the last three games, I think something like 45%, 50%, 47%. While you really would like the depth, you see the chemistry of this team as it's been in the last three games, And I'm not so certain you want to disrupt that at this point, even though you need the depth by bringing these two back now. I don't know what that goes into his thinking or not.
Well, and they haven't practiced at all
Yeah.
for almost a month now, and what do you really bring into it? And I think there are some, it sounds like there's some other things going on that are in play with these guys, and it's just going to have to work itself out. Just kind of turning over stones and trying to get answers. Nothing concrete, Corn, that I've been able to track down, but I have been given some indications where some people around the program are skeptical if Shepard will be back. They seemed a little doubtful on that, and even Henry's status going forward could be in question, but maybe not as much as Shepard. And Martin is out and about recruiting hard. He only has one scholarship to give next season. But he's going to sign more than one player, obviously, so there is going to be some attrition between now and the start of next season. So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, you're right about the fact that he has been out recruiting. Of course, they're already over the limit with the 3 commitments they have for the next class. And today he offered, remember last night we told you about the 6'9" player in New Jersey that he offered, who was coached by Never Nervous Purvis Ellison. Well, he's also offered Never Nervous Purvis Ellison's son, who's a guard in the 2015 class, a shooting guard in the 2015 class. So that's another guy for the 2015 class that he's interested in. So, yeah, his recruiting continues at a frenetic pace, and he's not worried about the numbers. He's not worried about the size of the roster right now, because obviously there's going to be some people in the program here after the season. All right, couple of quick notes, and we'll get to your calls. Again, at the ACC tournament, play-in games, Boston College advances with a 66-65 win over Georgia Tech. Virginia Tech downs Wake Forest 81-80. So, K-Mac, what does that do to the bracket moving forward to tomorrow?
Yeah, 2 great games to start things out here in Greensboro. Boston College will move on. They'll play North Carolina tomorrow afternoon. That game is scheduled for 2 o'clock, so the game after Clemson and Florida State. And Virginia Tech will play the late game tomorrow night against the number 6 seed in the tournament, Miami. So that's where things stand now. The other game tomorrow at 7 o'clock, NC State and Pitt, a 7-10 matchup in Greensboro. And we all know that Clemson and Florida State tip at noon.
Yeah. Hey, boy, it just seems like Clemson and Florida State always meet in the ACC tournament, usually in the first round, Pro. Their seeds are so close to one or so. Yeah, they're usually 8-9 or whatever matches them up, because their records are usually pretty similar once they go through ACC play.
Well, I'm telling you, they emphasize in the 2 football schools. It seems, I know that's not the case, but these teams mirror themselves so much. I mean, to see how great they play defense, but their struggles on offense have really been recorded this season. But this should be a fascinating third matchup. How many times do you see 2 teams meet in the tournament that beat each other on each other's home court during the regular season? Phil, I don't want to get into Brad Brunell's head, but I will, and I'm thinking I may have to go against type in this game. I'm going to try to run Florida State's bigs. I'm going to try to get some easy baskets before those twin towers set up in the paint. I just think that Clemson has to pick their spots and run the basketball and see if they can get some attrition by tiring those big trees out, by pushing the game forward early, getting a working margin, and see if they can work from there, because we know Florida State also has shooting struggles. So I'd look for Clemson to press the tempo at least early in the first 20 minutes of tomorrow's game.
All right, well, we'll see if they just. One more thing, did I see, K-Mac, where Darren Horn is going to be on the TV call of the South Carolina game tomorrow night here in Nashville?
You did, which is an interesting move to have the former Gamecock coach. The first time that he has called a South Carolina game since he's been doing the television bit. He's going to be doing color in that matchup, and I'm sure the first question and the first topic that he can hit on is how to win an SEC tournament game, which he never did at South Carolina, which is why he's now commentating on it.
you just have to keep hammering the man.
Yeah, the guy, I just wasn't. I never was buying what the man was selling, and it is kind of interesting because just 2 weeks ago, Frank Martin took a not so subtle shot at Darren Horn. He prefaced it by saying, "I'm not trying to call anybody out here," which is always something that somebody says before they call somebody out. He didn't name any names, but he said, when I came here, I didn't have a point guard, I didn't have a shooting guard, I didn't have anybody that can rebound. He essentially went position by position and said they had nobody, that he was dealing with a bare bones situation, and he's had to rebuild from the ground up. Horn spent 4 years telling everybody he was building a program, when really did, in reality, guys, is he destroyed what little bit of a program that Dave Odom left behind.
Well, he did leave around Gill and DeMontre Harris, but those guys wouldn't stay.
Yeah, well, those guys were on the way out the door. With the help of Darren Horn, he made sure to pave the way for them to get out before Frank Martin got in, which is why I would love. I tweeted this today. I don't have this kind of money, but if I did, I would pay $10,000 to see Darren Horn interview Frank Martin after the game, and $20,000 if it was after a loss. That would be great to hear that interview.
Well, the interesting thing is I've heard his commentary, and Darren Horn may just have found his calling. I think he's really improved from year one to year two, and he sounds like a seasoned color man now.
Well, you know what they say, Pro, those who can't coach, color commentate.
Mm-hmm. Or they do radio sports talk shows.
Yeah, exactly.
You do have the money, so why don't you just step up and put the money up there, huh?
10 large, huh? Well, I don't know.
Yeah. All right, break is coming up, and we'll get to some calls here in a moment. 800-956-7266. We're going to hear from Frank Martin coming up as well at the bottom of the break. We'll be right back. More sports talk on the Tournament Road.
Oh, wait.
Stand by, guys.
All right, a couple of other notes to pass along to you from this afternoon. One other basketball game coming up tonight involving a state team at South Carolina State against North Carolina A&T in the MEAC tournament. SEC Coaches Awards announced today. And your Coach of the Year is John Calipari from Kentucky. Player of the Year is Bobby Portis from Arkansas. That's your guy, Pro, Bobby Portis.
Mm-hmm.
The Scholar Athlete of the Year, Levi Randolph from Alabama. Freshman of the Year, Carl Anthony Towns of 6th Kentucky. Defensive Player of the Year, Willie Cauley-Stein from Kentucky. Your all-SEC first team. Now, this is by the coaches. You have Bobby Portis. You have Cauley-Stein. You have Anthony Towns. Jarrell Martin from LSU. Jordan Mickey from LSU. Stephon Moody from Ole Miss. Josh Richardson from Tennessee. Daniel House from Texas A&M. And Damian Jones from Vanderbilt. Your second team, Randolph from Alabama. Michael Qualis from Arkansas. Michael Quails from Arkansas. K.T. Harrell from Auburn, Dorian Finney-Smith, Florida, Marcus Thornton of Georgia, Devin Booker of Kentucky, Aaron Harrison of Kentucky, Craig Sword of Mississippi State, and Jalen Jones from Texas A&M. So there you go with the first two teams. Tiffany Mitchell and Aja Wilson from the USC women. Mitchell, now one of 4 finalists for the Dawn Staley Award, presented by the Phoenix Club of Philadelphia. Seems a little unfair to the rest that she's a finalist for the award named for her own coach, but she's one of the 4 finalists. Also, Mitchell and Aja Wilson are one of 2 of 15 to earn a spot on the John Wooden Award women's ballot. That was the announced today by the LA Athletic Club. So good luck to them. They got a great. And, hey, we talk about USC and Clemson going head-to-head on the golf links. Well, they sort of did that last couple of days playing in the Palmetto Intercollegiate at Palmetto Golf Club. And South Carolina came away the winner. Tournament ended today. It's the 4th win of the year for Bill McDonald's team. And they went on to a victory. Let's see. They won by a shot over Clemson, as a matter of fact. The Gamecocks shot 15 under par. Tigers shot 14 under par. And the difference was, today USC shot a 276 and Clemson shot a 279. And USC's Will Stark was the medalist for the tournament. He shot 65, 69, 67, 9 under par to win the tournament individually. We're going to chat with Bill McDonald later in the program because that's 4 wins. That's a lot of wins in a golf season. USC's already ranked number 8 nationally. I imagine they're going to climb on up the polls with another win. Impressive field and a very strong tournament over in Aiken. We'll be right back. Frank Martin coming up next here on Sports Talk.
Oh.
I got to my son's place, and I just crashed. I was just saying, you tired? Hey, man.
What's that? Are you talking to me, Corn?
Tired?
Oh, yeah, a little bit. I mean, I had to run around early this morning and get over there to Frank Martin and hang out the cast and then drive here. So it's just like, not really tired, but you know how it is when you just been moving for about 12 straight hours.
Yeah. I got a little nap in when I got here, not that much.
Oh, lucky you, lucky you.
I was so tired I couldn't fall asleep. Oh. Yeah.
Do we have Skype? Didn't we used to have Skype? I couldn't log into it the other day. But didn't we used to have that?
Yeah, we had Skype.
What's our passwords to get into Skype?
I don't know what your personal one is.
I don't remember either. I was trying to. I don't think my computer has the upgrade where it works. That was another problem. Maybe that was it. Boo, boo, boo. How do I sound on my end? Am I breaking up?
No, you're fine, K-Mac.
My return's a little broken up every now and then. But.
And we're back, Sports Talk. South Carolina Radio Network on the road covering the Gamecocks and the Tigers in their respective tournaments. Gamecocks in Nashville going to play tomorrow night against Missouri, a team they beat in the regular season in Columbia by 5. And the Tigers going to take on Florida State, a team that they split with in the regular season. Going to play them at noon tomorrow in Greensboro. Before leaving Columbia today for Nashville, USC coach Frank Martin went in front of the media one final time. Well, maybe not one final time. Perhaps there'll be more basketball to come the Gamecocks' way after the SEC tournament. But he was there to sort of present his case for his team moving forward into the SEC tournament, how he feels about things. And here is Frank Martin from earlier today.
Excited for this week. It's you practice all year and challenge one another for postseason basketball. And this time of year for me is it's a complete different set of emotions for me, and it is for players also. All the work you put in season ended last season during the spring, summer, and obviously the preseason. Is to prepare your team to accept the challenges that the season throws at you. But once you get to postseason play, I mean, you still compete, you still coach, but you know, it's the fun time of year. It's what you prepare for. It's you know, people use the word grind. I don't understand how you can enjoy what you do and consider it a grind. You know, grind is landscaping when it's 100 degrees out and you don't want to do it. You know, that's a grind. Play basketball, coach basketball. I've never understood that to be a grind. That's a privilege, and you know, but you have challenges when you sign up for it that you got to deal with over 30 games. Postseason's fun. Postseason's just it's an unbelievable rush of adrenaline, but it's a whole lot of fun.
Frank, Missouri's changed a good bit since the last time you played them. They've got Gil Caesar back and Wright back, Isabel back. How much of a difference will that make in scouting for them?
Well, they're different than the team we prepared for last time. Now, the one thing that I'll say to you is we go through scouting reports. We never go through scouting reports anticipating that people are not playing. We go through scouting reports prepared as if everyone is playing, and that's what we did back then. And that's what we've been doing here for the last 2 days. Now, as far as the game goes, they're a completely different team. You know, when they had Wes Clark healthy, plus the guys that had been suspended, their depth, they were young, but their depth at guard was pretty good. Without Wes, they still, you know, their Isabel is back now, so he plays some point. Schamberger's been playing basically nothing but point. But then Gil Caesar and Wright give them two options. You know, one really shoots it and Wright, and then Gil Caesar shoots it, but he's also an athletic slasher that can score off the dribble, which they really didn't have the first time we played.
Coach, the players talked about what it would mean to them to get a couple wins and secure South Carolina's first winning season since 2009. What would it mean to you if your guys could pick up those 2 wins to make sure that happens?
I mean, when the season ends, I'm going to be proud of our guys for the following reasons. Highest RPI in 5 years. Highest strength of schedule since 03. Challenge our guys. We didn't throw a cupcake schedule out there to try and get wins. We actually challenge our guys as if we were an NCAA basketball team. And, you know, we've got the second most top 50 wins in the league. We've done a lot of good. We haven't handled some things the way we should. That's part of it. You don't go from being irrelevant in college basketball to being a conference champion in 2 years. You just don't do that. And it's all part of it. It's we're in a better place right now. Our guys are excited. Our guys are playing hard. You know, we got 2 conference road wins this year. You know, we hadn't done that since I've been here. You know, we're getting better. And yes, winning season makes everyone feel better. Okay. But let's be honest, what's the difference? 16, 17 wins, is there really a difference there? You know, it's the whole body of work that goes into play, and, you know, and embracing the challenges, embracing our growth. Our guys are awesome. We're in a very, very good mental place right now as a basketball team. And when you go through all the things that we went through this year, I'm proud of those guys for the growth that they continue to what's the word I'm looking for, to show. And it's they're fun. They're resilient. They don't go away. They don't drag. You know, and when you take into consideration that the one guy we asked to lead, I should say we ask, that wants to lead on a consistent basis, has played 60 college games in his career, and Ty Johnson, you know, it's pretty impressive that a group of guys that are so inexperienced can stay the course.
You mentioned 2 conference road wins. You're coming off one against Tennessee. How nice is it to have that kind of win going into the SEC tournament?
Yeah, I mean, it's good. And it played well against Arkansas and just couldn't win. You know, and to continue to have moments like we did against Arkansas, and yet be resilient enough on a one-day turn to get on a bus, drive 4.5 hours after such a hard game against Arkansas, get off the bus, go play a Saturday afternoon game, and play as hard as we did, and fight our tails off to get that win, says a lot about those kids. You know, they're fun. I mean, we got a fun group, and they're, like I said, we're in a real good place mentally right now.
I'd like to follow up with what you said a couple minutes ago. In your 3 years, you've gone from 4 conference wins to 5 last season to 6 this season. In your view, is that obviously that's progress just by math, but as a coach, would you rather see more progress than an increase of 2 conference wins over your first year, or are you pleased with the way your team is tracking right now?
Scott, if you want to compare improvement to conference wins, then it's going to be hard for you and I to ever be on the same page. You have to study what we've done. We played a schedule that was ranked 341 my first year here. We just played the best schedule this school's had since 03. We just played a conference schedule that, if you just rank conference schedules, is the #1 strength of schedule in the league. We played Kentucky home and home. We played the 2nd place team home and home. We played the 3rd place team home and home. We played the 5th, 6th, and 7th on the road. We've played the hardest strength of schedule and it's not that we lost by 2 that gives you a chance, because sometimes you're down 10 the whole game. But we had leads or tied in 8 of our 12 losses at the last media. We're close.
All right, Frank Martin telling you what he thinks about things regarding his team. It's hard to argue the points that he's made, and we'll talk about those coming up after the break. I mean, he's stating facts. Everything he said was not based on emotion. It was based on cold, hard facts. And they've won more games at this point this season than they have in any of his previous 2 years. As he pointed out, they've played a tougher schedule. Certainly, academically, they're best in the school in terms of their athletes academically. We'll talk more about it coming up in just a moment. USC baseball tonight, 7 o'clock. Carolina Stadium, the Gamecocks taking on Penn State. Penn State 1-8. South Carolina getting things together as they get ready for SEC play. Going to try and keep their winning streak going tonight. I'll tell you a little bit more about that as far as the pitching arrangement tonight for South Carolina. The Gamecocks will be starting Josh Reagan, left-hander, 0-1, 4.26, against left-hander Jeff Boylston. And South Carolina having won, 5 in a row. And they've got Penn State, and Kentucky comes to Columbia this weekend, open up SEC play. In our next hour, Mike Young, Wofford coach, will join us. Also talk with Bill McDonald, USC golf coach. Great win for the Gamecocks down at the Palmetto Intercollegiate. And Chip Weil from Arlington will be with recruiting coming up as well. Now back to the Frank Martin comments, guys. And, I mean, again, he makes a pretty strong argument for a pat on the back for himself and his staff for what they've done this year. They've had a number of issues to deal with. They've had some great highs. They've obviously had some very bad moments too, but they came back to really sort of stabilize the ship here in the last couple of weeks. Didn't win every game, but played Arkansas really tough, was in that one, had a really good performance against a Tennessee team that was coming off an excellent road win. And as he cited a number of different firsts for his team, or a number of different high marks for his team, it gives them something to build on in the future with what they've got coming back and what they're going to be adding to it. I think there's reason now for some extreme optimism going into next season.
Yeah, and it's kind of what I've been saying for a while, even when it looked bad. I mean, I've been watching this team as a lot of people have, and they're night and day better. And I had somebody on Twitter after the Arkansas loss, they said, hey, this team looks just like the Darren Horn teams. To me, they're doing the same things. No, they're not. They're not losing to UNC Asheville and every Southern Conference team that they play. I mean, they beat some top 20 teams this year. They beat some teams that are going to be in the NCAA tournament, like Iowa State, like Georgia. They are really, really close. They still need a couple of more players. They have a McDonald's All-American coming in next year that's going to help them. Some of their best players are young. Sandarius Stormwell's a sophomore. Dwayne Notice is a sophomore. The Lithuanians have improved every year. Hakevicius is a solid SEC big man now. They're doing it the right way, but they were starting from the bottom and working their way up. And the fact that they won half the games that they played over the course of the season and won more SEC games, again, in a league that is top to bottom, the best it's been in a long time, it's impressive. That's real, tangible improvement. Now, it's nothing to brag about if you're talking about a 500 team, but considering where they were 5 years ago, I think it is something to brag about for them. And they'll have an opportunity to play in a postseason tournament, which Martin said they would accept a bid unless somebody told them they couldn't, to a lower-tier tournament. They should win some more games. And I think this team is, within the next 2 years, and this is what I said from the beginning, a 5-year plan for Martin, they will go to and win an NCAA tournament game. That's a limb. That's a limb right there for a guy to go on. They haven't won a tournament game in 40 years. I wasn't even born the last time it happened, but I'm still sticking to that because they've gotten better every year. It hasn't happened as fast as some people thought, but it is happening.
Yeah, I will say this. You can see the improvement, and you can also see that when coaches, if you follow other coaches in the SEC, they're really, they really know there's a task to be done when you play South Carolina, because they've shown toughness, they've shown resiliency. The only thing they haven't done, if you figure it out, if they would have shot, say, for the entire year, just 40% corn, they would probably have 5 more wins during this season. That's how precarious it is when you have all the ingredients and intangibles in play. That ball does not go through the net. And you notice that in the last 3 games where they've been competitive and won games, they've shot at least over 40%. In some games, I think they've had 1 win where they shot only 35%. But this team plays the game the right way, and they play strong defense, which you always pack on the road and at home. Now the key point now is just finding one prolific scorer on the inside that can draw the defense, get your team more open shots from the three instead of forcing 3-point shots. And this team is right there. And K-Mac, I got to go out on a further limb that this team could threaten to go to postseason next year if the ball goes through the net 40% of the time.
Okay, let's give you some recruiting news here on this Tuesday night from Nashville, Tennessee. First of all, just a couple of football notes. Clemson, newest offer for defensive back DeMar Hamlin. He's from the Pittsburgh area. He's got 26 offers now. Clemson also offered over the weekend defensive end Julian Okwara. He's from Charlotte. He was at Clemson for their junior day over the weekend. And wide receiver Kelvin Harmon from New Jersey plans to visit USC on the 27th, the weekend of their next junior day. So he'll be coming down as South Carolina works on some folks in New Jersey. Now, basketball, Frank Martin was in Jersey yesterday, had his first in-person meeting with former Seton Hall point guard Jaren Cena. Likely won't be the last time they're together. Cena told us that it was a great meeting. Chance to sit down with Martin and hear about the program and the school and how he would fit in there. He thought that they had a great conversation. He learned a lot about the school and the program. He hopes to get on campus, set up an official visit once the season is over. He's kind of in a holding pattern while the schools he's interested in finish up their seasons. Michigan, Boston College, Davidson, Rhode Island, some of the others of interest. He's not scheduled any official visits because of the fact schools are still playing, but he is or did take an unofficial visit to Rhode Island today. And he said it's still too early in the process for him to have a favorites list. And South Carolina involved with 2015 guard Malik, and he is down to USC, Minnesota, Rutgers, California, Maryland, and Temple. This according to 24/7 Sports recruiting analyst Pat Lawless. He is the son of Never Nervous Purvis Ellison, who is the coach of the team he plays for in New Jersey. And as we said last night, South Carolina has offered a 6'9" junior on that team. And Clemson is going to get a visit from junior point guard Quay Parker. He's out of Wade, North Carolina. Going to visit Rutgers and Louisville sometime soon. He also has offers from Florida State, Wake, Virginia Tech, Clemson, Nebraska as well. All right, there you go with the recruiting notes here on a Tuesday night. Remember to check our recruiting out on the website, sportstalksc.com. On Twitter, use the hashtag STRecruiting to take you right to the stories. All right, busy second hour as we bring it to you like nobody else. Mike Young, who probably didn't have to ride the bus back down the mountain to Spartanburg last night after winning the Southern Conference Championship. We'll chat with him. We'll do some NASCAR at the bottom of the hour with Chip Weil, and we'll do some golf in the next hour. Bill McDonald, USC golf team, looking to win a national championship in golf, and they look prime for it, the way they are winning tournaments. 4 tournament wins now after winning the prestigious Palmetto Intercollegiate at
I'll be right back.
Hey, Mick.
Yo.
He's breathing. McCrary.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, we're talking behind your back. Stand by, guys.
Oh, no problem.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, your only sports talk show in South Carolina, covering both the SEC tournament and the ACC tournament, because that's what we do here on Sports Talk. We don't sit in our little pristine studio and look through Twitter and Facebook. No. In Greensboro, and Professor Tom Hayes is holding things down at our studios, our pristine studios in downtown Columbia. And, of course, we've got the games tomorrow. Clemson at noon against Florida State in South Carolina. Well after noon. It's going to be probably 9:30, 10 o'clock Eastern time before they tip it off tomorrow night against Missouri. Let's talk about Clemson for a moment, guys, before Mike Young joins us. And, you know, it's just been a up and down, weird kind of year for the Tigers. When they won those 4 straight ACC games, when they beat Wake Forest, they beat State and Raleigh and played extremely well. They beat Boston College. Then they won at Tallahassee, 2 road wins, and then 2 wins at home against weaker opponents. You kind of thought it might be something special rolling for them. But they have stumbled home with 4 losses in their last 5, and now they play a Florida State team that has given them trouble when they've met them in the ACC tournament over the years. What do you make of this year's Clemson Team Pro in the season they have put together? 16-15, 8-10. So if they lose tomorrow, they'll be 500 after ACC tournament play, coming off an NIT Final Four appearance. They did lose KJ McDaniels. He was one guy. He was a special guy. I get that. He's a pro. But that's a major step back, don't you think? Because the expectations were build on that NCAA tournament run and get to the NCAA. Of course, South Carolina won back-to-back NITs and couldn't build on that a few years ago to get to the NCAA.
Well, you know, I think the difficult thing is he was their Linus blanket down the stretch. And people got to know that this guy's a tremendous two-way player, because even when KJ McDaniels was not scoring, he was rejecting shots on the other end, so the other team couldn't score, and they were wary of him. So he controlled both ends of the floor. And as Brad Brunell succinctly said, you know, a guy like that is hard to come by at a place like Clemson. You know, a star player that you can just hang your hat on when things are low. But getting back down to it, I think when you look at the improvement of Jerron Blasingame, Dante Grantham has had his freshman growing pains, but he looks like he's going to be a future stud for the program. Again, like South Carolina, when the shots don't drop, Clemson still plays excellent defense, but it's got to go through the net at some point. And I think right now they play 7 or 8 guys so many long stretches. I think Clemson wore down the stretch because of a lack of a long bench.
Hey, just to finish up on Clemson and Florida State, this will be the 8th meeting between these teams in ACC tournament play. That's a lot considering Florida State's only been in the league 24 years. Florida State's won 5 of the 7 meetings. They've won the last, 4 in a row against the Tigers? They've won the last 4 meetings, so they've had Clemson's number in ACC tournament play. Baseball over at Carolina Stadium, they are scoreless. USC Penn State, bottom of the 1st. Well, I tell you what, you can watch a lot of basketball. You won't see a better game than the one I saw last night in Asheville, Southern Conference Championship between Wofford and Furman. This is what I love about these tournaments for the mid-majors, the one-team leagues. They lay it on the line because they know there's no tomorrow. We welcome in Coach Mike Young from Wofford. He's won 4 of the last 6 Southern Conference Tournament championships. And I tell you what, Coach, you having games like that, you're going to get old in a hurry because that's the kind of game that ages a coach, the one you had last night. Congratulations, though, on the championship.
Bill, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. We're awfully excited around here. I know that.
Oh, man, what a great crowd you had. I was told about 10 busloads of Wofford students came in, and they were loud and rowdy and really gave you guys the home court advantage.
You know, we can't pinpoint it. If it was the Iona game and the 24-hour marathon that went over NC State, but Phil, our crowds this year and a lot of road games, certainly at home, have been unlike any other year in my time at Wofford. And last night was no exception. They were loud and crazy, and our student body, I think we had over half of our student body in Asheville for the game, and Spartanburg community has been awfully supportive, and that certainly has made it a lot of fun for our players.
Well, we'll talk about your team in a moment. I want to pay homage to Furman. Now, you played them the last game of the regular season, and you beat them by 2. So you must have had some idea getting ready for them last night that this was an improving team with good young talent and was not going to go away easily.
Yeah, you know, we beat them back in January 25, and, you know, they'd lost several coming into our game. They did beat Western Carolina on the Thursday before our last regular season game, and, you know, I went back and watched that last game, and I thought we played pretty well. And you know, Furman, you could see them gaining confidence as they went along, and then they carry that to Asheville and catch lightning in a bottle and knock off, Citadel in the first round, the 3rd seed, the 2nd seed, and now they've got us in the finals. I knew it would be hard. It's just that's the way it is. I mean, we all know what's at stake, and guys are going to fight and hang in there as Furman did. I was very impressed with their team and the job that Coach Medved did. He did a fabulous job with that bunch, and you know they've got things to look forward to. They've got a bunch of good young kids, and they're well coached. So it'll be an interesting games here, you know, in the future.
Well, you had to like the way your team overcame some adversity during the game because Furman was shooting the lights out. They could have broken your spirit in some form or fashion when they were knocking down those threes, but your guys held tough. You locked down on them defensively for about 4.5 minutes or so. It gave you a chance to open up a little bit of breathing room, and then you had to hold on down the stretch. So, you know, how about the way your guys were able to just kind of hold it together and do what you do late in the game to pull out the victory?
You know, it was phenomenal. I mean, really an amazing accomplishment. They don't blink. They just hang in there. Next play, next best action we talk about around here. And that's, you know, what that non-conference schedule is all about. That's what, you know, many and the variety of situations you find yourself in over the course of, you know, a 4-month season, you know, to get to a situation like that and draw upon those other experiences. And there was never any panic. I thought they played with great poise and determination, and you know, we just happened to make a few more plays down the stretch than they did. But it was certainly hanging in the balance there for a bit.
Oh, no doubt about it. Talking with Mike Young, coach of the Wofford Terriers, going to the NCAA tournament for the 4th time in 6 years. So you've done this thing quite a bit now, so you know how to handle this down week, so to speak, before the brackets announced on Sunday. What are you doing this time with your players to keep them sharp and ready to go when it's time to get back into action?
This is my favorite week. You know, having pulled that off last night, and know that our ticket is punched. Pardon the expression. Know that we're in, and there's so much that goes into that tournament weekend. We take today and tomorrow off and give them a chance to exhale and give them a chance to reintegrate themselves into the student body in the classroom and, you know, get geared up in that area again. We'll practice Thursday, Friday. We'll give them Saturday off, first Saturday they've had off in 4.5 months. And then, you know, we come back on Sunday. We begin practice at 2, and we walk up and we'll find out who we're playing, just like everybody else will at 6 o'clock, Sunday evening, and then the real fun begins.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I don't know how much you subscribe to a Joe Lunardi, but I guess he's as good as anybody, if not the best. And he's had you as a number 12 seed for some time. He's got you playing Arkansas in Jacksonville in the opening round. What do you think about the concept of being a 12 seed?
That would be the highest seed we've ever had, Phil. Our first team in 2010 was a 13. We played a 4-seed Wisconsin. I think we're deserving of a 12. I've heard a couple people say that we could slide into an 11 depending on how some of these other things go. But, you look at our body of work and 28 wins for crying out loud. And, I think we have 4 or 5 top 100 wins. We 16-2 in our league. I think we've got we've made a strong case for ourselves to get the highest seed possible, and we'll look forward to now where we're headed on Sunday. I hope we can get to Jacksonville. If we are at 12, I think it would be great to have it in such closer proximity to Wofford. We take a bunch of people down there.
Yeah. You would hope that you would be at 12 and not have to play in that Dayton round, right? I mean, I see where he's got a couple of 12s playing in Dayton.
Yeah, I don't know, Phil. I don't know that an automatic qualifier has ever played in the 12 play-in game of that. The first round in Dayton. I may be wrong, but I think we can avoid that. But if that's the case, that's okay. That wouldn't be so terrible either.
No, absolutely. Just being in the dance is what it's all about. Listen, we congratulate you once again. Great year so far, continued success, and we'll catch you next week after you know your opponent and your destination. And we thank you, as always, for your time.
Phil, thanks, buddy. I wish you well.
You too. It's Mike Young from Wofford. Speaking of the bracket, this will make Cliff Ellis happy when we talk to him tomorrow night. Lunardi has got the Chanticleers as a 15th seed, but going out to Seattle to play Gonzaga in the opening round, but avoiding Dayton.
You might as well be a 16 seed if they take you out there. That's about 3 hours from their campus, so that'll be a difficult assignment there. But
it's only about 4 hours by plane from Coastal.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about the fan. It'll be a home game for them. The interesting thing is what Wofford is doing, and why I think they could get an 11 seed, is the fact that you keep going back to the dance. People start familiarity brings people to thinking that committee, hey, this team earned the right. They've been here for 4 out of the last 6 times. Let's bump them up to 11 seed, see what they can do.
Don't you think it took a little while for Gonzaga to do the same thing once they started making the tournament? And who'd ever heard of Gonzaga before that? Okay, thanks again to Coach Mike Young from Wofford. Cliff Ellis will be with us tomorrow night. We'll be over at the arena here in Nashville. Looking forward to being over at Bridgestone Arena for my first time. K-Mac, you've been to Bridgestone Arena before covering the SEC tournament. What are some of the more interesting parts about that arena in terms of, I've seen it from the outside. It's a beautiful arena in downtown Nashville, but what about some of the parts inside that catch your eye?
Oh, my goodness. I don't remember any one specific detail. I mean, it's a big arena where the Nashville Predators play. Very big, and they have, it's like anything else when you have these basketball tournaments in these big arenas. It gets swallowed up until Kentucky comes in and takes the thing over. The last time I was there, South Carolina made a heck of a run at that arena. That's when they went to the championship game of the SEC tournament, lost to Florida by 2 points, and Florida went on to win the national championship. But South Carolina on the Saturday in the semifinals had to play Kentucky, and that entire arena was full of Kentucky fans doing the chants. And then after South Carolina won that game, the Kentucky fans went out on the streets. You could get a free ticket to the championship game, fourth, shortly after that game.
Yeah. I imagine the Kentucky fans will start streaming in here. They don't wait for Kentucky to get here. They'll come early. There'll be some in the arena tomorrow to watch the play-in games. And see, Kentucky doesn't get here until tomorrow is Wednesday. They don't get here till Friday. So there'll be Kentucky fans streaming in over the next couple of days, and they'll dominate the place. No question about it. Though I would imagine that. Being here in Nashville, Vanderbilt fans should turn out in pretty good number, considering how their team has finished up the season. They've got a good young club and an exciting team, and they might win a couple of games in this thing. Who knows? Just looking at Lenardi's projections as of today, we touched on a couple of things, but looking at some of the familiar names, of course, he's got Kentucky, Virginia, Villanova, and Duke as your number one seeds. He's got North Carolina as a 5, NC State as a 9, Arkansas as a 5. Let's see here. He's got LSU as a 10. He's got Georgia as a 9 seed. He's got Louisville as a number 4. Ole Miss as a 10. And I mentioned the Coastal and Wofford where he has them. I think I've touched on all the teams from the SEC and the ACC. Oh, he's got Davidson as an 8. Still like to keep up with Davidson from their Southern Conference days. Did I mention LSU? He's got them as a 10. He's got 6 from the ACC and 5 from the SEC. His last 4 in are BYU, Temple, Texas, Indiana. His first 4 out, Miami, Old Dominion, Tulsa, and Texas A&M. I wonder if Miami can win its way into the tournament, short of winning the ACC. They've got 20 wins on the season. They've got a winning ACC record. I would think maybe a win or 2 in the tournament might get them into the big dance. Back in a moment. I've got some pictures from Wofford over the years, and I was looking for one last night, and I ran across the pictures from when Wofford beat South Carolina in Spartanburg. I got a picture of Darren Horn after that game. It's classic. Yeah. Our Tuesday NASCAR visit with Chip Wow coming up in just a moment, but Pro has got some information about the two suspended USC basketball players. Frank Martin didn't make any definitive announcement today that they are definitely not coming back. However, Pro ran across some information that they indeed won't ever be back at South Carolina. Pro?
Well, that's the speculation on from John Whittle of the Big Spur. He writes, it would come as a big surprise if Demetrius Henry or Shamik Shepard returned to the program. Both players were suspended in what was termed conduct detrimental to the team in mid-February, and neither player has returned to practice. Shepard, who lived on campus with other basketball players, Whittle writes, was removed from his dorm room and put in another building at the time of his suspension. Both players, according to Whittle, have returned their basketball gear and do not have plans to return to the program. That's per John Whittle of the Big Spur.
Okay, well, that would open up a couple of spots. You hate to see it because those were two young guys that you'd like to try to develop and see if they could help your program grow. But obviously they did something bad enough to put them in this situation to where they're not going to be welcomed back to the program. We shift gears now. We welcome in Chip Weil, president of Darlington Raceway, as we come off of weekend number 3 on the NASCAR circuit. Kevin Harvick gets the win out in Las Vegas. Chip, good to have you with us. And, boy, that was a good, strong performance by Kevin Harvick. Looks like that team is in the championship form already. I know we're only 3 weeks in, but 2 runner-ups and a victory is a great way to start the season.
Absolutely. He's basically picking up where he left off last year with 2 wins and a second-place finish. So in the last 6 races, if you span last season, he's finished no worse than second. I would say he certainly is a guy everybody's looking to compare themselves to early in the season.
Yeah, great run. Martin Truex Jr. finishing second. He's off to a great start. I guess he's the guy that, and A.J. Allmendinger, I guess those 2 guys are the ones that are catching everybody's attention early on as far as a couple of guys not with the power outfits, but who are off to really good starts.
Yeah, and both of those teams are satellite operations of RCR, and both seem to be running well, along with the 27, the 3, and the 31, who obviously all in the RCR stable. So, it's good when you can, if you're a small team, tag on or latch on to a big team and be able to utilize their resource. And looks like JTDG, Dartery, and Furniture Row Racing have been able to do that early in the season. You know, Martin Truex Jr. is a two-time Xfinity Series champion. He's no slouch. He knows how to win races.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly well documented that he made the chase in the 56 car a couple of years ago on his own merit, but then, you know, with Spingate and all the things that went along with that, he ended up not making the chase. But he's one of those guys to certainly look out for. And that Furniture Row team is a strong outfit. Those guys know what they're doing. They got a lot of great resource, a lot of great people surrounding him. So I expect Martin Truex Jr. to have a solid year.
You know, I know Jeff Gordon is tired. I just didn't realize he'd moved it up to this year.
Yeah, no joke. It seems like Jeff just can't catch a break. Won the pole, and then literally the last lap of practice on Saturday, he got into an altercation with the 10 car and had to go to a backup and made his way back up through the field, and then got caught up in a late race incident. So it seems like Jeff, certainly not of his own doing, has had a heck of a lot of trouble in his final season in the Sprint Cup Series. You look at his performances, it's certainly not indicative of where he's finished. He's run well. He's just been caught up in a lot of bad luck. So hopefully this weekend in Phoenix they can turn it around. But, man, I would never guess that in the first three races Jeff would have had so much problem.
Yeah, that's just, yeah, it's mind-boggling with the team that he has. But it's just the thing about racing is just the bad luck. Look at Jimmy Johnson, so good the previous week, and he ends up at the back of the pack this time around.
Yeah, that's racing. You know, we talk about it on your show a lot. Everything's got to go your way, and you also got to have a heck of a lot of luck. So you got to have a fast race car. All the cars got to fall in the right direction, and then you got to have a little bit of luck. And it seems like Jimmy's had fast race cars every week. 2 weeks ago in Atlanta, everything went his way. But last weekend, he made it up through the field and led some laps, and then blew a right front tire. I think everybody's still trying to figure out this new Gen 6 rules package. They're really trying to figure out what they can and can't do, how far they can push the envelope, especially abusing that right front tire to see where is too far. And it looks like Chad and them found that answer on Sunday afternoon. But the good thing for those guys is they're able to do that because they're locked into the chase. They've won a race, and they can pretty much for the next 25, 24 weeks just focus on making their program better and getting ready for the championship chase.
Now we're in the so-called western swing of the schedule. Las Vegas, Phoenix coming up, then California, Fontana. And that's a great idea. This time of year, I think it's a great idea to have races out there after Daytona. You're guaranteed excellent weather. Here's my question. You've got Atlanta sitting right there the week after Daytona, and we're seeing in March where the weather is just miserable. It looked like everybody was miserable in Atlanta watching that race. It was so cold. Any thoughts on putting another western stop in there in March and maybe moving Atlanta a little bit later where they can get better weather?
You know, you look at the schedule, and NASCAR is in a bit of a predicament because they have a lot of stakeholders they have to please. Certainly, a lot of this based on what the TV networks want because they're spending a significant amount of money in our sport. And if you think about after spending 2 weeks in Daytona to pack up all of that TV equipment, all of the things that go along with getting out to Phoenix, it's a daunting task. So what the TV networks ask is if they could stay on the East Coast and give those guys an extra week to kind of get settled in and not have to move their equipment all the way across the country. So, and then you also look at the teams. You know, those guys, they're in Daytona for 10 days. They come home, and last year they would go to Phoenix and then on to Vegas. So they basically went home for 2 days and then they go on for an additional 14 days. So they were gone for a month. And that's hard to do and prepare race cars for the coming weeks. So NASCAR is doing the best they can. I feel like they're certainly making some smart changes. You can't control the weather, and I think regardless of where we went 2 weeks ago in Atlanta, the Atlanta race weekend, you probably would have run into some pretty bad weather. Just we've had a tough March or a tough February, and that's just part of having the longest season in sports. You can't hit it right every time. You sometimes are unfortunately going to run into some bad weather, but Atlanta made the most of it. It sounds like their attendance numbers were okay. And again, you got to play the cards you're dealt, and they certainly have done that. Ed Clark and the group down there did a very nice job.
And it looks like they had a nice crowd at Vegas last weekend.
They did, and I think that speaks to the product on the racetrack and the relevancy of our sport. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago. The word everybody keeps using in the industry is momentum. We gained a lot of momentum in 2014, and it seems like we've carried that momentum through the off season into the 2015 season. So far, we've had 3 fantastic races with great finishes, 3 new winners in 3 races, and I think it'll just continue to get better and figure out this rules package. We'll see the competition continue to get closer, and we'll see great finishes. If you look at the best race, I think, of the season so far happened on Saturday, where Ryan Blaney, with 15 to go, was running 15th, and he ran down the leader and tried to pass him on the last lap. So NASCAR's doing a good job. They really are. They're making sure that they're giving the fans what they want, that they're earning their money, so to speak. And I think as we continue to go through the season, we'll see a better product on the racetrack, and you'll see those stands filled up, which is what we all want.
Chip, as always, we appreciate it. Thank you for the Tuesday night NASCAR visit. Have yourself a great week. Fontana coming up this weekend, and we'll be back with Chip next Tuesday night to talk about that. We'll hit a break. Going to talk a little golf. Bill McDonald, USC golf coach, coming up here on Sports Talk. Okay, we're back over at Carolina Stadium. Gamecocks have a 1-0 lead on Penn State. Bottom of the third inning, an unearned run for the Gamecocks. A run scored on a throwing error by the catcher on a stolen base with a runner on third. And so the Gamecocks have a 1-0 lead. You know, we often talk here about why South Carolina and Clemson don't get together on the golf links and go and settle that issue annually. Well, they didn't go exactly head-to-head, but they were playing together in the Palmetto Collegiate at the Palmetto Club down in Aiken, as one of the best, prestigious collegiate golf tournaments in this part of the country. And USC edged Clemson by a shot to win the championship, and that's the fourth win for Bill McDonald's crew this golf season. That's incredible. And we welcome Bill to the program. Once again, we had you on after you won last time out, and you go out and get another win this time. And doing it the way you did had to be pretty exciting.
It was a we were 5 shots back, but with 3 or 4 holes to go, and made a run. And teams seems to have a knack for that. We've won three of the 4 tournaments we've won by a shot, the other one by 2. But it was it was just an exciting event on its own, and then throw in the fact that we were playing Clemson pretty much head to head down the stretch was made it even more special.
Did that rivalry feeling going between the two of you, like the football game or the basketball, baseball games? Did you guys, both sides, kind of pumped up against one another?
Well, I think a little bit, yeah. You know, last year I brought Sir Big Spur out there, and that created a little bit of a ruckus. And of course, then Clemson goes and beats us handily in the final round last year. So there's a little bit of an edge to it. But I've known Larry Penley. So he recruited me back in the early '80s. I've known Larry and Jordan Burtis, his assistant, for a long time, and we're tremendous friends and very respectful of them and their program. But absolutely, when it's the chickens and the Tigers, man, it's game on.
Yeah, I bet it was, and managed to make up the deficit there to win by a shot.
Well, we played number 14 incredibly well. We had Will Stark and Sean Kelly made eagles there. It's a reachable par 5, but you still had to hit 2 incredible shots to get it close. Will Stark hit a 3-iron about 5 feet, and I'm not quite sure what Sean did, but and then Matt Neesmith, I know, made a birdie because I was walking with him, and so did Will Murphy. So we made up a lot of ground there, and then just held on. It just fortunately went our way.
Talking with USC golf coach Bill McDonald, the Gamecocks with their 4th win of the season. They win the Palmetto Intercollegiate at the Palmetto Golf Club by a shot over Clemson. The tournament that Will Stark had, pretty strong, 9 under par. He's the medalist. Talk about his 3 rounds, 65, 69, 67.
His game has gone to just he was already a really fine player coming into this year, but he's just gone to a whole new level. I think 14 or so of his last 16 rounds have been in the 60s. It's some crazy stat like that. He's just playing so well. He's got a lot of confidence. His game is rounded into form where there really just aren't any weaknesses, and he has tremendous power, great hands. He's a lot of fun to watch, I tell you. I couldn't be happier for him because he's been really close. Won last year in a rain-shortened event in Wilmington, but this was a true just dominant win, and Will's certainly deserving.
What's up next for you guys?
Well, we just got back. I threw a load of laundry in, and because it's spring break, we're doing two events in 1 week. We're leaving tomorrow for Tallahassee and Florida State's event, so we'll get started down there on Friday.
Winning tournaments and doing the wash, the life of a golf coach.
That's it, man. It's glamorous, I tell you.
Get you some of that SEC money coming in this spring and hire somebody to do the wash for you. Hey, congratulations once again, and best of luck to you. We will talk to you again later on in the season. That's Bill McDonald, USC golf coach, certainly going to move up in the rankings. They were number 8. They win the Palmetto Intercollegiate, and that's going to certainly improve that ranking, and that's their 4th win on the season. We'll be back in just a moment.
Still alive, McCreary?
Yep.
I'll wrap this thing up here.
Thanks again to Bill McDonald for being with us here on Sports Talk. And if you've missed any of tonight's program, you can catch the interviews on our website, sportstalksc.com. You can also watch the entire show, see me from my broadcast center here in Nashville, K-Mac from his broadcast location in Greensboro, and Pro from our studio in Columbia. Of course, we live video stream the show every night, and it stays up on our website for 24 hours, actually 22 hours. It'll go away 6 o'clock tomorrow as we start the new program. But if you miss it, you can go there and watch it. I think it's a great way to pass the night, pass the evening. Even if you heard us live, go back and watch us again just to relive all the exciting moments from tonight's show. And everything from the program, Frank Martin and Chip Wild and Mike Young and Bill McDonald up on our website, so you can go back and hear those interviews. All right, K-Mac, you've got the early game tomorrow between the two of us. The Tigers and the Seminoles tipping off at high noon in Greensboro. Boy, I used to harken back to the good old days when it was an 8-team tournament, and you go in there on, well, they play Thursday, or when they moved it to Friday for the first round, and there would be 19, 20,000 people in the place. It would be packed. Nobody would miss a game of the ACC tournament. Tomorrow you won't have 5,000 people in there for that Clemson-Florida State game.
No, longing for the glory days, Corn. Longing for the glory days that are never coming back. I'm sure there's a lot of things that you miss, but those days aren't coming back.
Well, I long for the days when things were done right. That's all.
Yeah.
Right.
This isn't the America that you know and love, is it? It's
Get
just
off on a
been.
tangent here.
It's changed. You want your country back. You want your ACC basketball back. You want your covered wagons back. Your little house on the prairie. That's what you want back.
He wants Jim Thacker and Billy Packer back too.
Yeah.
You doggone right. I do. I want Bones McKinney. I want to see the pilot. I want Pilot Life Insurance back as the only sponsor.
Castleman D. Chesley.
I want to see basketball. I want to see basketball. I want to see thighs. I want to see basketball players' thighs again. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm tired of seeing nothing but calves. I want to see. I want to see thighs. I want the shorts to go back to where they used to be.
The hot pass days.
When the game was.
Now it's just getting creepy.
Decisions were made for the good of the sport. The decisions were made for the good of the sport instead of
I got to go take a shower now.
Television. Okay. Anyway, thank you, K-Mac. Thank you, Pro. Tomorrow night from Greensboro and from here in Nashville, complete coverage of Clemson's game against Florida State. We'll see if the Tigers win and advance. And then, of course, we'll be leading up to the South Carolina game tomorrow night against Missouri. And, of course, the other play-in game here in Nashville as well. Everybody have a great night. Thank you for being with us, and we'll see you tomorrow night.